stage. And I don't know if you can get this on the video, but if you come in a little bit, Steve, you'll notice that the bubbles are starting to hold a little more and not pop as fast. That's an indication it's getting close. There's a difference in the sound. There's also more of them. Again, we transfer from one spoon to the other. Pour out of the spoon. We should be getting the beginnings of, yeah, we're getting the very beginnings of string stage because it's not dripping in a round drip. See, as it cools off. The reason for 2 spoons is if you stir it in here, the spoon is hot, and you'll go past string stage. If you don't have long-handled spoons, as you're doing this, you burn your hands. Also, you need the long-handled spoons when we go separating things. The time from when it's right, just right at the soft string stage, to when it's past it is about 30 seconds. So, we're getting there. See that string right down there? And again, there's a difference in the sound. It almost starts to hiss. If this thing suddenly makes a high-pitched hiss, it's gone into hard candy and you've lost it. That looks about right. You got a long string there. So, I've got my stuff. I turn this to low. I also have to remember to turn it off afterwards. Pour this in there. Now this is the full batch that I'm normally doing. And you move those around so you get all the stuff all over everything, including the floor. And you're not usually videotaping when you're doing this. Then you dump it out onto there. And we notice how I'm transferring ones off the top over to the other side. They're sticking to my spoons to get them moved aside. We've got a couple that didn't coat all the way. You'll always have that. And like I say, the worst thing you can possibly hear is a hissing noise. It's hard to describe, but you'll know it if you ever do it because it's the sound of sugar crystallizing. And this stuff is cooling down too fast on me. I get to eat all the ones that hit the floor. No, this one is not working as well as the last one. I may have gone slightly too far or not enough. I don't know. It's gummy on me. You can see why I did just a half a batch the first time, because it's a lot easier to work with smaller amounts. You can work with smaller amounts, and it just means that you have to remelt a bunch of sugar, because all the sugar that went through we can remelt in the next batch. Or if you've priced sugar lately, you'll notice that it's just almost as well to pitch it. I've got it all separated. Some over onto my overflow place. My timer on the next batch is at 10 minutes, so that means that's where it's... Now we just let these cool. We're going to shut off the camera for a moment, and because I've got the thing. If you don't have a sink sprayer, in some fashion you're going to need very hot water, because you spray this thing down and rinse it off, and little steel wool in the hot water. This water isn't hot yet, but you just clean out the pan in between times. I'm going to let that run while I go do some other stuff, and we can shut the camera back off. About 45 seconds left on the batch I shoved in the big double tray. I spent the time cleaning up a few things. We're making red this time. And I think the glaze, since the glaze is the most important part, we're going to show that again. Our green glaze stayed a little gummy. It did not work the way it was supposed to. But the problem seems to be I pulled it a little too soon. If you pull it too soon, you just let them sit for a while and air dry a little longer. They do get hard, they will crystallize, and the glaze will work. If you pull it way too soon, they'll stay gummy for a day or two. But if you pull it too late, you have one giant monkey bread kind of zuccarini that you have to peel pieces off and eat. Still good. If you got somebody like Martin around, they'll eat it. So we have 8 dozen here that I'm going to put into the bowl. Now these are still very warm. Do not cover this bowl, by the way, because if you do that, they'll get mushy. They'll trap steam. They are very warm. Well, let's see how our red is doing. I've got a little too much red in here because it was a new bottle of red, and when I went to pour it, it glugged on me. So this is actually a little deeper than I would normally want it. Very, very early stages of string stage. Real-time passage. Right now, we started this at about 10 or 15 minutes after 2 o'clock. It's 3:30. I've got one more half batch to do, so we will be done probably by 4. If I had 2 full-size cookie sheets, it could be done faster, or if you had somebody who could do this while somebody is making the other stuff, things can get done faster. That's starting to look right. Not quite. There's a string coming off of it, but not until it really cools down. The food coloring does affect the string a little bit. And when you're getting down to the string stage, you need to, I don't know if you can hear that difference in sound. It's a softer difference, but it's a crisper snap to the bubble. Probably won't pick up on the... Yeah, real close. Let's give it just a few seconds here. I'm actually pushing this a little far. Okay, you can see the long strings forming. From the time it first starts forming strings till the time it's overcooked, like I say, is about 30 seconds. I've got a nice definite string there. Down to low. By the way, remember to shut it off later, because that's one of the big things I forget. And the stove's on low heat for days, or actually until Kathy walks into the kitchen or when I go back to clean the oven. And we dump out our red ones. Now this is, every batch works a little differently. I'm hearing a hissing, maybe too long. I don't know if you can hear that, Steve, but...
I can hear it. I don't know if it'll pick up.
Yeah, I wanted to get it close to that, but now this is, I would not call this working correctly, but I intentionally pushed it to the far end just to show that how narrow that window is from the time it first starts making the string. It was still making a string, but this has gone on me, and if you can tell, let me make sure I break all these apart. When they break apart, they tear each other rather than just splitting. They're still edible, still good, but they don't look as nice. This one here, you can see little sharp points on it and stuff. That means it cooled too fast. See, the green was, I took off just a little too soon. This I took off just a little too late. I did this one intentionally, a little too late. But now, if it was really too late, it would have gone as soon as I put the cookies in, and it would have just gone whoosh, and you'd have had a big ball of this stuff in the pan, and nothing you can do about it. So, we're going to shut off again. I'm going to make my final batch, and we'll glaze those. This is our final batch, making it clear this time, and we are just about at the string stage, not quite. We're at the very, very point where it's starting to drip slow, starting to form a little bit of a string, which means that we have about a minute and a half or so. It's a little harder with clear to see it. Let the last batch go too long. Okay, we're starting a string there. You can see the string comes out, but it's not really at a good string. Okay, we're getting a full coverage of bubbles, a very heavy coverage of bubbles, which is also an indication we're at the right point. Okay, see, we got a string going down from there, but it's not staying. We'll give it about another 30 seconds, and then that should be right. Okay, we got a string drifting off of it. There we go. We might be just a tad early this time. I shut it off that time rather than to low because of the last batch, and I don't want to forget. See, what I'm doing is rotating these through the syrup in the corner. Getting everybody all covered. Over to here. Sometimes I have to rotate it a little more. We spread them out over the plate, and we move them. This point, even when it's right, you have to work fast at this point. Spread them out and broke loose. You see, now here when I break them from each other, it leaves sugar on both sides. It leaves the glaze, and the glaze is a lot smoother. Now these I pushed over here won't drip through the thing. Okay, and these are starting to harden up, so that as I move them a little bit, they feel harder. There is a hardness to the glaze. This glaze is at just the point you want it to be when you work with it. So in the noise that they're sounding more like a little rock against it. Now we're going to shut off and let these cool for just a few minutes, and then I'll do one final thing. So let's shut off. Cool down about 5 minutes. I'm going to take it into the, dump it into the big bowl that we've been putting these in. These do not have to be kept covered. After a couple of days, it's a good idea. That's about 2 hours worth of cookies. And let me go over the ingredients one last time. That's a ½ pound of melted butter, a tablespoon of anise seeds, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 5 cups of flour, 8 eggs beaten, ½ a teaspoon of anise extract, and 3/4 cup sugar. And the glaze is 2 cups of sugar and 1 cup of water. Bon appetit and all that stuff.